most important news on China. I did think his comments about the press briefings and his comments come after a judge ruled that Jim Acosta's press pass, hard pass, needed to be reinstated immediately.
Wrong. And I guess we are getting towards the end here, but there were, all sorts of rumors earlier in the week. We were going to get indictments this week. Someone thought Tuesday. Fridays is usually their day, so maybe something.
Well, it's still early.
It is early.
Katie, what did you hear? Well, since you've covered the most important news on China, I did think his comments about the press briefings and his comments come after a judge ruled that Jim Acosta's press pass, hard pass, needed to be reinstated immediately.
Wrong. And I guess we are getting towards the end here, but there were, all sorts of rumors earlier in the week. We were going to get indictments this week. Someone thought Tuesday. Fridays is usually their day, so maybe something.
Well, it's still early.
It is early.
Katie, what did you hear? Well, since you've covered the most important news on China, I did think his comments about the press briefings and his comments come after a judge ruled that Jim Acosta's press pass, hard pass, needed to be reinstated immediately.
Wrong. And I guess we are getting towards the end here, but there were, all sorts of rumors earlier in the week. We were going to get indictments this week. Someone thought Tuesday. Fridays is usually their day, so maybe something.
Well, it's still early.
It is early.
Katie, what did you hear? Well, since you've covered the most important news on China, I did think his comments about the press briefings and his comments come after a judge ruled that Jim Acosta's press pass, hard pass, needed to be reinstated immediately.
Acosta being banned from the White House and now being let back in. The president standing strong, though, basically saying this: look, if the questions aren't nice, if they aren't respectful, we have the right to walk away. So the president standing firm there and standing its ground on how it will be handling the press moving forward. Also, we are waiting for remarks from the White House. The president should be coming out any moment now, where he will be honoring 7 people with the nation's highest civilian honor, the Medal of Freedom, including one of the longest serving senators in American history, Republican Orrin Hatch. Posthumous honors will also be granted to Elvis Presley, Babe Ruth, and the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. That's set to get underway any moment now. We're going to bring it to you live as soon as it happens. And a Fox News alert more than a week after Election Day, and Florida's results are still up in the air as the Senate race moves to a hand count. That's right, hundreds of thousands of vote counted by hand. Welcome to Outnumbered Overtime. I'm Julie Banderas in for Harris Faulkner today. So the manual recount is now on all across the state of Florida after the revised machine totals showed Governor and GOP Senate candidate Rick Scott up by less than 0.25% over Democratic incumbent Bill Nelson. This as Scott's team is accusing the Broward County election supervisor of intentionally missing yesterday's deadline by 2 minutes because Nelson lost votes in that recount. Meantime, it also appears the Florida's governor race is over, with Republican Ron DeSantis eking out a win over Democrat Andrew Gillum. And Peter Ducey is watching it all for us. He joins us live at the Broward County Board of Elections with the very latest. Boy, what a mess.
You could say that, Julie. The ballots that they're counting right now by hand are the ones that voting machines could not figure out. And this is why. Have a look at this one. There are a lot of ballots that were marked for both Senate candidates. Some even drew an extra bubble and then filled that one in too. The Nelson campaign has sued to prevent people from also adding so-called magic words that clarify on the ballot what some of that extra ink might have meant, but Federal Judge Mark Walker shut them down in federal court. He wrote this: the issue in this case is whether the use of these reasonable and neutral rules is constitutional. It is. The hand recount here in Broward follows a machine recount that didn't count because Broward County submitted results 2 minutes late. Still, elections supervisor Brenda Snipes believes everything has been going great on her watch.
I'm pleased that we were able to accomplish what we did accomplish in the period of time that was available.
The official excuse here for the ballots being sent late is that an elections official didn't know how to use the website to send them to the state. That means the pre-recount total stands, which is better in Broward for the Democrat Nelson and worse for the Republican Rick Scott, whose campaign is crying foul.
Whenever you use the excuse, the dog ate my homework, the dog really never ate your homework. And the same staff that successfully uploaded Broward County's results to the state website on Saturday somehow forgot how to upload results to the website by Thursday. I'm just not buying it.
an overwhelming majority of the votes that need to still be counted are so-called undervotes, where there is no marking for the Senate contest at all. Those generally don't get rewarded to either candidate because, again, impossible to tell who somebody might have been thinking that they wanted to vote for. The rest of them, the ones that generally do engage a debate about whether or not somebody meant Nelson or Scott, are overvotes. And out of all the 31,000 votes they've gone through so far, there are only about 500 of those left. Julie?
Only. And that actually is nothing compared to what they've had to count. All right, Peter Ducey, thank you very much. Let's bring in Paul Renner, Republican, who is in line to be Speaker of the House in Florida. Thank you very much for talking to us. What do you make of what's going on in your state?
Well, look, after over a week of counts and recounts and lawyers and litigation, we're right where we left off on Election Day, and that is that Ron DeSantis will be the next governor of the state of Florida, and Rick Scott, it appears, will be our next U.S. Senator.
What will they be looking for in the hand recount, and what is an over and under vote?
Sure. Well, an undervote is typically a blank ballot, or blank vote for that race, rather. So people oftentimes will get to a race that they're not familiar with, or they just choose not to vote for either of the two candidates, and so they leave it blank. That's an undervote, and the vast majority of those will be just that. It'll be a no vote. An overvote is a situation, and you put them up on your screen a few minutes ago, where someone perhaps has voted for both Rick Scott and Bill Nelson. That vote doesn't count because we can't discern the desire or the intent of the voter, and so that's an overvote. Again, most of those will be kicked out, but some of them, if we can determine the intent of the voter, will be counted.
It just seems if somebody can actually vote for two candidates, then something's wrong with the voting system. That's not certainly getting a real clear stamp on people's opinions on who they believe should be elected to office. Rick Scott's campaign is now accusing election supervisor Brenda Snipes of intentionally submitting late results to invalidate them because in the recount, Nelson lost more votes than Scott, a net gain of 779 for Scott, in fact. Could Snipes have intentionally missed that deadline? I mean, 2 minutes makes it almost impossible to believe that wasn't an accident.
Well, I think it's something we definitely have to look at once all election results are certified. But about the nicest thing you can say about the supervisor of elections in Broward County is gross incompetence. And it certainly prevailed throughout this period. A judge has ruled that she violated the law in certain circumstances after the election. And so it's certainly a problem there. It's been a problem in the past, and we'll have to deal with that once the results are certified.
It's a problem, all right. I mean, so here's Broward County officials' explanation. They announced that the recount results had been rejected because they were submitted 2 minutes late, despite earlier declaring they were actually making the deadline even early. And officials blamed the late submission on an official who apparently didn't know how to use the website to send them to the state. So Broward's results kicked back to the unofficial pre-count retotal. I mean, it's a complete mess. Now, what is the Attorney General's office? What is, happening with all these lawsuits? Who is going to take accountability? There must be an investigation. This just sounds so fishy, and I'm no PI.
Yeah, well, you can be sure we're going to look at it as a legislature, and I know the Attorney General is looking at it in terms of investigations of what exactly happened in Broward County and as Palm Beach County as well. So we'll get to the bottom of it. I'm confident we will.
So then what's going to happen to prevent this recount mess from happening in the future?
Well, the thing that needs to be noted is we have 67 counties, and all the individual counties are responsible for doing this count.
Right.
65 had no problems whatsoever. We didn't hear any of the stories that we've heard out of Broward County and Palm Beach County there by both Democrat and Republican supervisors. So they had no difficulty doing this. It's just isolated to these two counties.
Right. We're talking Broward County, Palm Beach County. I got to just bring up, there's this interesting article in the Miami Herald I read about a few days ago. It talks about how close the races were for governor, that being decided already. But the U.S. Senate Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services, very close, even for Florida. And now it appears, obviously, the governor race is over with DeSantis taking the win there. But here's the question. Are these races so close that a recount is actually likely to change the result? Here's your answer. History says also almost certainly not. In 26 recounts in major races around the nation since 2000, you might be surprised to know, Florida, I hope you're listening, only 3 outcomes have actually changed in 18 years. How is Florida going to be any different?
Well, it's not. And I have personal experience. My first election, on election night, I was behind by 2 votes. And after all the counts and recounts, I was behind by 2 votes. And at that point, and Andrew Gillum's at that point, and Bill Nelson will be soon, to decide, Do they want to do what's right for the state of Florida and in a show of unity wish Ron DeSantis good luck as our next governor and Rick Scott good luck as our next U.S. senator and wish the best for the people of Florida that we all represent?
So then what happens now with these remaining lawsuits? There's a lot of them filed by Democrats in an attempt to litigate votes into existence.
Well, and you can be sure that you can't create votes out of thin air. And none of these litigation lawsuits will be able to change the result. So the numbers you're looking at really are not going to shift the result and change the ultimate outcome. It may narrow. In the case of Broward County, Rick Scott got more votes. And so it's one of those, be careful what you ask for. But I can tell you with great confidence that once all the counting's done, once all the litigation's over, that we're going to wind up in the place that we are now. And that is Rick Scott is our next senator, and Ron DeSantis, of course, is already going to be our next governor.
Does Brenda Snipes get fired after all this?
I think she should, no doubt, and there's no doubt she probably should have been fired before. But I think at this point, with a series, not just in this election, but prior elections of incompetence, it's time for her to go if she doesn't resign.
All right, Paul Renner, thank you very much for talking to us. It is a confusing state when it comes to elections. Let's hope they fix it soon. Paul, thank you.
We will. Thank you.
So another Fox News alert for you. The death toll in Northern California's Camp Fire climbing to at least 63 now. And officials say more than 600 people remain unaccounted for, missing. That is the scary number. Meanwhile, in the southern part of the state, progress is being made on the Woolsey fire. Containment stands at 69% as of now. And tomorrow, President Trump will be traveling to the Golden State to meet with fire victims and see the damage firsthand. Jeff Paul joins us live in Malibu with the very latest there. Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Julie. Yeah, we're in the very preliminary stage of the rebuilding process here in Southern California. You can see some of the crews out here are trying to kind of patch up the roads, get some of those down power lines back up and clear the roads for some of those evacuated residents once they return home. But unfortunately, some of the people, once they get back home, they're going to find a scene, unfortunately, like this. You take a look at this house over here. Every single wall of this home burned to the ground. And as we walk a little bit more over here, some of these things are a little bit more recognizable than others. The patio over here, the furniture melted right down to the ground over here. It's melted pretty good. A lot of ash. And unfortunately, we're seeing more and more homes like this in the Malibu area. And that's part of the reason why firefighters are keeping the evacuated residents away from here. It's just far too dangerous for some of these people to come back, especially a bunch of them, while they're trying to get through to the streets. We ran into one firefighting crew and asked them about that frustration. Here's what they had to say. Take a listen.
All the firefighters understand the frustration. We have a lot of empathy. We know that they're not going to be able to, see their homes, and when they do come, it's not going to be, for a lot of people, it's going to be a very sad sight.
Now, further north, the Camp Fire, which has burned a lot of land about 80 miles north of the Sacramento area. As you mentioned in my lead, Julie, it is just devastating up there. That number, 613 people considered unaccounted for. And granted, that number, they're using that number and that name, that terminology, unaccounted for, because sometimes the communications are down and they just can't find people. Certain family members can't find people. But with the death toll sitting at 63, authorities believe that number could only rise with so many people being unaccounted for. There's also a lot of people displaced. We're hearing close to 50,000 people out of their homes, 10,000 structures destroyed. So a lot of devastation up there as well. Julie?
Yeah, and now the grim task of having to find those over 500 people, 600 people missing in this devastation. Thank you very much, Jeff Paul. Great reporting. Rudy Giuliani revealing President Trump's legal team could submit their written responses to questions from special counsel Robert Mueller as early as today. The president just moments ago saying he has answered the questions and he did so himself, that he doesn't need lawyers to answer the questions. They were easy to answer. Well, now 2 House Intelligence Committee members from both sides of the political aisle are here to debate what that could mean moving forward. Plus this, we're learning new details about acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker's intentions when it comes to overseeing the Russia probe. We'll have the details next.
He believed he did not have a reason to recuse himself legally or factually. Nothing I've seen would require him to be recused. I think he's got the background and the judgment to fulfill this job.
He has answered written questions from special counsel Robert Mueller, but has not submitted them yet. This, as Rudy Giuliani tells the Washington Post, some of the 24 questions could pose legal issues for the president, and reiterated his concern there could be possible traps. Rich Edson joins us now live with a report from the White House. Hi, Rich.
Hey, good afternoon, Julie. And the president addressing the special counsel's investigation, these written questions, at a bill signing in the Oval Office just a short while ago. The president says that he imagines and suspects and has been hearing that the investigation from Robert Mueller will be ending soon. And he says it should have never happened in the first place.
My lawyers aren't working on that. I'm working on that. I write the answers. My lawyers don't write answers. I write answers. I was asked a series of questions. I've answered them very easily. I haven't submitted them yet. I just finished them. As you know, I've been a little bit busy.
Special counsel Robert Mueller's team has indicted dozens. Some have pled guilty and agreed to cooperate, like the former campaign chairman Paul Manafort. The president is also attacking Mueller, saying he and his gang of Democrat thugs have destroyed people and are a disgrace to the nation. The president says that nothing specific prompted that Twitter criticism, just the continuing investigation. Now, overseeing the Mueller investigation is acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker. He was critical of it before taking the acting Attorney General job. Senator Lindsey Graham says Whitaker has promised he will not fire the special counsel. Several Republicans are pushing the White House to soon nominate an Attorney General to get a Senate-confirmed replacement for former Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Republicans say they're looking to resolve questions about the special counsel's future. Earlier this week, the Senate failed to advance legislation designed to protect the special counsel. This as Robert Mueller is awaiting these answers from President Trump with really no other indication as to when this investigation may conclude. Julie.
All right. Thank you very much, Rich Hudson at the White House. For more on this, let's bring in Republican Congressman Chris Stewart from Utah and Democratic Congressman Jim Himes from Connecticut. Both sit on the House Intelligence Committee. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good to be with you.
Good afternoon, Julie.
All right, Jim, let me ask you first. What do you make of Giuliani's comments?
Well, Giuliani, of course, has a multiple-month track record now of being bombastic about this. You know, what really intrigued me was the notion that we keep hearing about, which is that the president shouldn't answer questions because there could be perjury traps. Now, a perjury trap sounds like a complicated thing, but most Americans will understand that whatever a trap may be, if you go anywhere and answer questions honestly, which, of course, is what you should do when you are being interviewed by the FBI, there is no possibility of a perjury trap. So, again, just as you or me or Congressman Stewart would be required to answer questions honestly, hopefully this president will do what every other American citizen is obligated to do, which is to go in front of an investigator and answer questions honestly.
Congressman Stewart, I mean, the president says he has no concern about, perjuring himself. And he, in fact, said he doesn't need his lawyer's advice to answer these questions. He did it on his own. He just spoke moments ago saying they were easy. He doesn't need anybody else nor his lawyers to answer these questions for him. So do you believe that there's any reason for his lawyers to be concerned?
Well, I think they've been discussing this, and I think this is an indication of a couple things. Remember, the original intention of the Mueller investigation, which I have always supported, was to discover if there was collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians. And I don't know anyone in Washington, D.C., anyone responsible who makes those claims or believes that any longer. And I think this is another indicator that the investigation probably is winding down. We know that he has had investigators leave. He hasn't replaced them. He's moved several of these key pieces of his investigation or some of the prosecution to other courts. And I think the fact that he could provide the president with questions that they were able to answer in just a few days indicates that they weren't deeply involved, they weren't very complicated. I think and I hope this is an indication that he is completing his investigation in fairness to these people who have been accused of very serious crimes, people who have been accused of treason, to have this cloud to be taken from them, and in fairness to the American people that we actually understand and conclude what happened there.
Congressman Himes, I mean, the president also just mentioned how not only was this investigation unnecessary, but it has cost taxpayers millions upon millions of dollars. I mean, could this mean that we're nearing the end finally of the Russia probe?
Well, sure, it could mean that. We don't really know. Of course, it's cost money, just the way the multi-year Clinton investigation or the multi-year Benghazi investigation cost money. But generally speaking, if there are allegations which are very, very serious, and I might take exception with one thing that Congressman Stewart said. Until Mueller has actually come out with his report, nobody knows whether there was collusion. Though some of us were involved in an investigation, we won't know the answer to that until the final report is issued. But one thing that is certain is that the president, of course, said that a number of people's names were sullied. Look, this investigation, if nothing else, has surfaced all sorts of contacts with the Russians that people subsequently lied about, and that's not debatable. People have actually pled guilty to breaking the law, including the president's campaign chairman. So inasmuch as having people observe the law and accountability for people who don't observe the law is a good thing, this investigation has made some real progress.
Congressman Stewart, you know, the president had maintained from the very beginning he would be more than willing to sit down face-to-face with Robert Mueller. His lawyers, however, kind of saw that a little differently, and especially after hearing Giuliani's comments, I don't think he would really advise for his client to sit down with Mueller. But do you believe that there will ever be a sit-down face-to-face between these two men?
Well, I'm not privy to the private conversations between the president and his lawyers, but I would be very surprised if there were. And I think they would have to act very cautiously if they did. But, you know, to kind of understand the danger for people, look, Mr. Flynn, for example, who served his country honorably for generations, and when he was investigated by the FBI, those agents went back and reported they didn't think he was lying. And yet, in subsequent investigations, they did have what I would call a perjury trap. There is danger of that. Any one of us would be naive if we didn't think that there was the potential for that. And the president's certainly aware of that. So I think he wants to proceed carefully. He should. And I think with the advice of his lawyers, that he should take their counsel when appropriate. But, you know, again, Jim and I, he's one of the members of the Democratic members of the committee that I respect. He's someone that hasn't been out there throwing bombs, and he and I agree the Mueller investigation should continue. I've always said that. I just want them to complete it quickly and not have it dragging out there again for the sake of the American people and for the sake of these others who've been accused.
All right. I want to switch gears here for a second now. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham says that acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker assured him that he has no intention of firing special counsel Mueller. Graham also had this to say after the two met yesterday. I want you to listen to this.
He believed he did not have a reason to recuse himself legally or factually. Nothing I've seen would require him to be recused. I think he's got the background and the judgment to fulfill this job. I have every confidence that regular order will be followed, and he will make sure that Mr. Mueller has the ability to complete his job in a professional manner.
Congressman Himes, how do you feel about Whitaker's comments, and how do you believe the president himself feels about those comments after just yesterday, you know, he spoke to the Daily Caller. The president indicated that he installed Matthew Whitaker to kill the Russia probe, essentially, when he said that Whitaker is quite somebody that's very respected, adding, as far as I'm concerned, this is an investigation that should never have been brought. And now you've got Whitaker saying that he doesn't intend on putting a stop to this investigation.
Yeah, you know, as usual, the president was pretty clear about why he did what he did. You know, Whitaker, of course, has made his views of this investigation known well before he was Attorney General. What's frustrating here, Julie, is, you know, I don't want to get into a back and forth between who said what and is Lindsey Graham right or is Donald Trump right. This could stop and go away immediately if the Congress would do what the Congress always should have done, which is protect the legislation, the investigation legislatively. And again, if the president is innocent, as he claims, he should want this investigation to run its course. And so when I look at the Senate's refusal to pass a bill which would do what the Attorney General apparently says he's going to do, and the Senate says, no, we don't need to do this, what it feels to me is like they're preserving the option to end this investigation at some point down the road. You know that's what the president wants. So when the Congress doesn't act, you got to scratch your head and say, why not?
Okay, I only have about 15 seconds left. I just want to address this real quick. Basically, Senator Jeff Flake, who attempted to present a bill to the floor and it got tossed out, basically, he is now standing firm about this bill that he wants to be voted upon that would protect Robert Mueller. Now, it wouldn't necessarily protect him from being fired. To clarify, it would protect him and allow him to appeal. the fact that he got fired. I just want to understand, what is the point of this flake bill that he wants to present before he retires? I want to ask you, Congressman Stewart.
Well, look, I don't think there's anyone in D.C. who thinks that the president is going to shut down the Mueller investigation, nor that Mr. Whitaker would. And I think that's why there's some frustration with this bill, is it seems unnecessary. No one, I don't know anyone who really believes the president would do that. It would be a mistake if he did. And they've asked for him to recuse himself because he voiced an opinion. For heaven's sakes, everyone in Washington has voiced an opinion on this, including Democrats and Republicans who are carrying out their own investigation. If voicing an opinion on this would ask you to require you to preclude your involvement, none of us would be involved with these investigations.
All right. Congressman Jim Himes and Chris Stewart, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
So the migrant caravan inching closer and closer to the U.S. border. Many of them have already arrived as the bulk of it actually arrives in Tijuana, just south of San Diego. We've got a live report next. A Fox News alert, and the president is set to honor 7 people with the Medal of Freedom at the White House, and it is a full house right now. We understand 6 Supreme Court justices will be in attendance, among them Justice John Roberts, Brett Kavanaugh, Judge Samuel Alito, and Elena Kagan, and also Neil Gorsuch. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg, in fact, is making her very first public appearance today after taking a fall in her office where she fractured 3 ribs. This woman does not take a beating. She's like an Energizer bunny, and now she will be there today. So kudos to her, first of all, for recovering. That was quite a fall for her. But we are going to be watching this as the president will be awarding 7 awards today. And when it happens, we will take you there live. So stand by with us for that. Meantime, a Fox News alert, the bulk of the migrant caravan reaching the U.S. southern border as more and more buses arrive in Tijuana. This as U.S. border inspections at the main crossing into San Diego are reportedly processing about 100 asylum claims a day, meaning it could actually take weeks, if not months, to process the thousands in the caravan who departed mostly from Honduras over 1 month ago. William Lajeunesse has been watching it for us, tracking it live in Tijuana, Mexico, with more. Hi, William.
Well, Julie, we've moved from the shelter here to the port of entry at San Ysidro, San Diego, and this is going to be the focal point for caravan members for the days and weeks to come. Why? That's because President Trump removed the right of the migrants to claim asylum anywhere along the border. Now they have to come here. So I'm going to show you what's happening. Right now, this is where people are coming from really all over the world. Africa, South America, Mexico, to put their names on a list. That includes all caravan members. So today, actually, the United States is only going to take 30 names. Every day they call Mexico and they say, we'll take the next 30 names, say, off the top of that list. Right now, that list is 1,050 people. As you said, what that means is if you applied today and put your name on the list, you're looking at up to 5 weeks, possibly 5 months before you get your appointment with an asylum officer.
The people over here, I don't think that they can help you. Maybe you can help you for 1 week, 2 weeks, but not like 3, 4, 6 months. It's impossible, you know. Real hard. I understand big trouble right now for everybody here.
So that means the other big problem right now is space. There's not enough. Tijuana has room for 700 people in their shelters. Right now they're full. So they opened this YMCA, if you will, this rec center. It holds 1,000, 1 bathroom. Imagine what happens when all 5,000 from the caravan show up here. That's why many foresee problems with feeding, housing, and exploitation.
It's difficult because, you know, we don't have restrooms. The kitchen is short.
So because of the chaos that we have here, Julie, they're stopping some of the buses about 60, 70 miles east of where I am in Mexicali, stopping at shelters there. Also, we want to tell you there was a bus accident, a rollover with some migrants, 2 seriously injured. So what they're being told here is, listen, show up, put your name on the list, go back to the shelter and wait. That's the game that is being played right now. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, William Lajeunesse. We are going to go to the White House now. President Trump about to honor 7 people with the Medal of Freedom at the White House as they are introducing those in attendance there right now. Then the president will be coming out and making his remarks. Let's watch.
The Honorable Alan C. Page. On behalf of George Herman Babe Ruth, Mr. Thomas Stevens. On behalf of Elvis Aaron Presley, Mr. Jack Soden. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States and Mrs. Trump.
Thank you very much. Please. It's a great honor. Melania and I are thrilled to welcome you to the White House as we honor the recipients of our nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, something very, very special. We're joined today by many members of my administration, including Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Hello, Mike. Steve Mnuchin. Steve, thank you very much. Wilbur Ross. Alex Acosta. Matt Whitaker. Ben Carson. Betsy DeVos. Administrator Linda McMahon. Ambassador Lighthizer. And acting administrator, who I will tell you is going to be made permanent. He's done a fantastic job, and I want to congratulate him. EPA, Andrew Wheeler. Where's Andrew? Congratulations, Andrew. Great job. Great job. Thank you very much. Thank you as well to Senator Amy Klobuchar for being here. Where is Amy, by the way? Where is Amy? I did better before, Amy. And for 5 decades, I have to say, the presidential individuals who have made outstanding contributions to American life and culture. This year, it is my true privilege to award this honor to 7 extraordinary Americans. Senator Orrin Hatch, the late, great Justice Antonin Scalia, Miriam Adelson, Roger Staubach, Alan Page, and 2 more recipients who are no longer with us, but whose legacies will live on forever. Legendary Babe Ruth, legendary Elvis Presley. True legends. The first recipient is one of the longest-serving and most respected senators in American history, Senator Orrin Hatch, a friend of mine, a great friend of mine. He liked me right from the beginning, and therefore I like him. That helps. It's the way it is. I guess I'm not supposed to say it, but that's the way life works, right? For the last 42 years, Senator Hatch has proudly represented the people of Utah, sponsoring more bills that have become law than any living legislator, from rewriting our tax code to helping just hardworking Americans get through life, to reshaping our courts, to uphold the vision of our founders, to protecting the religious freedom of all Americans. His achievements are too numerous to count. Senator Hatch is a true American statesman. Today, Senator Hatch is joined by his incredible family, the love of his life, Elaine. They've been married for 61 years, along with their 6 children, Brent, Marcia, Scott, Kimberly, Elisa, and Jess. Congratulations. Please stand up. Congratulations to you all. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations to you all. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you. The second recipient we honor today is one of the greatest, truly was one of the greatest jurists ever to serve our country, Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. Universally admired for his towering intellect, brilliant wit, and fierce devotion to our founding principles, Justice Scalia has made a deep and lasting impact on the history of our nation. His presence is dearly missed by all, friend of a lot of people, truly great intellect. Justice Scalia transformed the American legal landscape, igniting a national movement to apply the original meaning of the Constitution as written. Few have done more to uphold this nation's founding charter. Through nearly 900 written opinions and more than 30 years on the bench, Justice Scalia defended the American system of government and preserved the foundation of American freedom. Our whole nation is indeed indebted to Justice Scalia for his lifetime of noble and truly incredible service. Joining us for this ceremony is his wife, Maureen, who's become a great friend of my family, myself, and their 9 children, Anne, Jean, John, Catherine, Mary Claire, Paul, Matthew, Christopher, and Meg. You were very busy. Wow. Wow. I always knew I liked him. Also here are several of Justice Scalia's former colleagues, and very respected ones at that. It's a personal tribute that they are giving to their friend. Chief Justice Roberts, where are you? Thank you very much. Thank you. Justice Ginsburg, glad to see you're feeling great. Justice Alito, thank you. Justice Kagan, Justice Gorsuch, and Justice Kavanaugh. Thank you very much. It's a great honor. Looking down and saying thank you very much. Our next Medal of Freedom recipient is a renowned philanthropist, somebody who's worked so hard, doesn't have to do it, but she does. 24 hours a day, this is what she does. Miriam Adelson. A medical doctor, Miriam has dedicated her life to fighting addiction, something we're all becoming all too familiar with. Through decades of innovative research, philanthropy, and treatment, Miriam has helped thousands break free from their addiction to drugs and to alcohol. In 2006, Miriam and her husband, Sheldon, who's with us today, thank you, Sheldon, established the Adelson Medical Research Foundation to prevent, reduce, or eliminate life-threatening diseases. To protect the sacred heritage of the Jewish faith, Miriam and Sheldon have supported Jewish schools, Holocaust memorial organizations, and helped Jewish Americans visit the Holy Land. Miriam, I want to thank you very much for saving so many lives and helping so many people to get back to a normal way of life. You've been incredible. I know the work you've done, and you have been truly incredible. Here to celebrate Miriam's award is Sheldon. Where is Sheldon? Where is Sheldon? Where is he? There he is. Oh, well, you didn't make the front row. He's probably angry. Thank you, Sheldon. And their children, Sivan, Yasmin, Adam, Maitan, as well as their son-in-law, Patrick. Thank you all for being here. Please stand up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Congratulations. And they were very happy to see the embassy move to Jerusalem. They were very happy about that. So congratulations on that also. They fought very hard for that. Capital of Israel. Our next recipient of the Medal of Freedom is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I used to watch him when I was going to school, and I'd say, they can't catch him. He's just better by far than everybody else. He is something. The winner of the Heisman Trophy, Roger Staubach. As a midshipman at the United States Naval Academy, Roger set 28 football records. Upon graduation, he volunteered to deploy to Vietnam for 1 year and served in the Navy for a total of 4 years. At the age of 27, which is a little late, he began his NFL career, and what a career it was. Over the next 11 seasons, Roger led the Dallas Cowboys to 4 Super Bowls and earned Pro Bowl honors 6 times. His exceptional talent earned Roger a place in both the College Football Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I have to tell you, I had a golf match where Roger was my partner, and we were in deep trouble. And Roger was also in deep trouble. He was so deep in the weeds that you wouldn't believe it. And we desperately needed a par on the 18th hole to win. And he came out and hit his shot. I don't know how it happened, but he was this far from the hole. We got our par, we won. And I said, that's Roger Staubach. I hope you remember that, Roger. Huh? That was quite exciting. Roger and Marianne, his wife of 53 years, have generously supported thousands of Americans in need, including students, military families, and our truly great veterans. So helpful. Roger, you inspire Americans across the country to work hard, dream big, and always push on to victory. Roger became a great financial success, very successful businessman after his football career. His family is with us for this special ceremony. Marianne and their 5 children, Jennifer, Michelle, Stephanie, Jeff, and Amy. Please stand up, please. Please stand up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next Medal of Freedom recipient is American football legend, and he was indeed a legend. He was tough, strong. A Minnesota Supreme Court justice. He became a Supreme Court justice also. He's only nervous with all of these U.S. Supreme Court justices. Justice Alan Page, a very special man, a College Football Hall of Famer. Alan helped Notre Dame secure the national championship in 1966. He went on to have a 15-year NFL career with the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. He became the first and one of the only defensive players to earn the league's MVP award. That happens very, very seldom. While Alan was still playing for the Vikings, he went to law school and earned a law degree from the University of Minnesota Law School. In 1993, he became the first African-American justice on the Minnesota Supreme Court, where he served for more than 2 decades. That's very impressive. What do you think? That's a very impressive job. Really it is. Thank you, Alan. Alan and his wife, Diane, founded the Page Education Foundation, which has provided nearly 7,000 scholarships to civic-minded students. Sadly, 1 month ago, Diane passed away after a heroic struggle with cancer. Said to be a great woman. Alan, we know that the goodness, grace, and hope that Diane brought into our world will live on for many generations to come. She is looking down on you right now, and she is so proud with love. She's so proud of you. Alan is joined today by 3 of their children, Georgiana, Justin, and Cammie. Please stand up. Please stand up. Thank you. Thank you. It's a great honor. Thank you. It is also my honor today to award the Medal of Freedom to one of the most celebrated sports heroes in world history, the Sultan of Swat, the great Bambino, the one and only Babe Ruth. He truly is, when you think, I mean, let's face it, Babe Ruth is Babe Ruth, right? George Herman Babe Ruth Jr., he was a junior. I can imagine what his father was like. He must have been tough. Lived from 1895 to 1948, learning the game of baseball from Catholic brothers at his orphanage. At the age of 19, he was signed by the Boston Red Sox as a pitcher and soon became one of the best pitchers in baseball. People don't know that. Babe Ruth was one of the best pitchers. He still has records today. In 1920, he started with the New York Yankees. And I have heard for many years, what's the worst trade in the history of sports? Babe Ruth, 19-year-old pitcher, for $100,000 and a 35-year-old third baseman. That was not a good trade. Who was out of baseball the following season? That was not good. Of course, $100,000 is probably like $25 million today, but it was still a lousy deal. But he became one of the greatest hitters of all time. They drafted him, they took him as a pitcher, but they knew they wanted to make him a hitter. In fact, we have George Steinbrenner IV. George Steinbrenner was one of my best friends. He was tough. He was tough, but he was good. Where's George Steinbrenner IV? His grandson. He's here someplace. Where is he? Thank you very much. Would you say hello to the family? That's very nice that you're here. Please. George was a real piece of work, I have to tell you that. Your grandfather was very difficult, but he was good. He had a good heart. Sitting with George during the playoffs, as I often had to do, was like you'd go home exhausted. It was exhausting. So thank you for being here. Thank you very much. The Babe hit 714 home runs, a record that stood for nearly 40 years. And people often would say that was a somewhat dead ball. Didn't have the life the ball has today. He would often hit more home runs in a season than the league average for an entire team. And in one season, hit more home runs than the entire American League. How do you do that? To this day, his career slugging percentage of .690 remains the highest in the history of baseball. Hard to believe, actually. The Babe was also known for his devotion to our nation and its children. He visited countless children in hospitals and orphanages, supported more than 100 charities, raised money and raised hell. He was, maybe that's why it's taken him a long time to get this award. This award should have been given to him a long time ago. I said, you mean Babe Ruth hasn't gotten it? We took care of that real fast. But he was incredible. But he raised a lot of money for the war effort during World War II. As we honor the legend who enshrined baseball as America's pastime, we are excited to be joined by a number of Babe Ruth's descendants, including his grandchildren, Donna Anilovich and Tom Stevens. And I want to thank you very much for being here. Please stand up, please. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tom. Our final Medal of Freedom, and here's another one who's just very incredible. Today goes to one of the most beloved artists and most enduring cultural icons that has ever lived. The king of rock and roll, the true king, and you have to say that, Elvis Aaron Presley.